Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
let's
that's
go
a
back
lot.
some 40 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as many of you know, I was born in Peru, in Lima, and in 1979. Can you believe it? I've been around the block, and I was born during a time where my country was going through a very difficult time. There's a lot of turmoil, both politically and, there was terrorism. There was an insurgent movement that started, destroying everything, killing people. And our government was also a bit of it's completely stupid. And they had this policy of we should make so all imports were kind of banned officially from the country. So imports in all regards meant toys. So we had to make our own stuff. So you could still get Transformers, Masters of the Universe, yeah, Joe, but you had to smuggle them across the border with Chile or Ecuador, and naturally those toys were completely expensive. Going to a crisis, like my father was in those days he was a captain army, the police. I'm sorry, the police, and his salary was only to pay the mortgage and put food on the table. So the expensive toys like that were not on the cards really, and besides he had to like take care of his life because like terrorists wanted to kill the armed forces and he was doing intelligence. So it was a very like toys were the last thing on his mind, trust me. So
Yeah,
the national economy started, Mattel licensed a national company called Basa to make some Masters of the Universe stuff. It wasn't that good. It was bad. Like Transformers were sub-licensed to a company called Linsa, and those Transformers were crap. I mean, you transform them once and then they just completely broke apart. They practically they transformed into garbage. They broke off. Like, yeah, no, they weren't good. And they were like the small ones, like this Bumblebee, like the little Scout class little things. They never got to make the big ones, like the Jazz, the Optimus. Not you have to smuggle them though, and those were really really expensive. So what does a kid do? Like most of the kids in my generation were like middle class and not so upper middle. I was like middle class but kind of low. So you have to freaking do your own stuff. And imagine the 80s. We didn't have much less material, so most kids of my generation started, building their arts and Transformers out of cardboard, out of milk cartons, and they transform. My cousin, I remember, he made a freaking Optimus that could transform out of cardboard. It was fantastic. It was like wow,
wow.
yeah, the necessity made. I remember kids making the cat's lair out of milk, leche gloria. The milk in Peru was called gloria, glory, and those were sturdy boxes, and you could make your own Star Wars stuff, your own cat's lairs out of that. In my case, I like figures, not so much as vehicles. With vehicles, I mean, my father didn't like me to clutter the house with vehicles. I once did a Millennium Falcon out of like cardboard, and he was huge, and he was like, like the house was small and he didn't want me to clutter. So I liked figures, and I started sculpting out of bread dough. The bread, like the inside dough, I will put a
Yeah.
little bit of chloroform
Oh wow.
and sculpted it like it was like a crappy, whatever works. And we had like knockoff toys. A lot of knockoff toys started flooding the market. Like you had those small Rotocats, Mexican He-Man that I really hated because you took that to school, and there, I lived in like the north part of this kind of like upper class kids. You took your bootleg He-Man and they will like really really bully you and make fun of you. Look at that piece of crap. Oh my god. Yeah, you're buying you're buying your toys. You're definitely poor as hell. So no. Like you were like ostracized for your stuff. That's why I hate bootleg stuff. I really hate bootleg stuff. I cannot see it. I wanted an original one, but those were expensive. And most of my friends had the original He-Mans, the original Transformers, and all those, because some of them had, people or relatives that live here in the United States, and they send them stuff, or they just bought them, out of the the smuggling markets, which were there were a lot of them back in those days. But I had to make my own. I had to learn to sculpt out of bread dough and paints, of course. I mean, you're not gonna buy paint. There were no acrylic paint, so I had to steal my mother's nail polish, nail enamel, the enamel, and I will paint those things. And that thing has a lot of acetone, so a session of painting, like for 1 hour, and you end up high as hell. And I was like, why do I feel funny after painting I don't know, a lion or something, because we had like the small lion or like a He-Man or something, whatever. I ended up like completely high because they had a high concentration. There was no quality control, so they just let anything in. But my mother bought the good stuff. But still, it will get you high. Like paint with enamel for like an hour, the fumes are gonna get you like, woo, funny as hell. So yeah, that's how I basically started.
Did you grow up on the cartoons?
My generation did, yeah, of course. I mean, when he came to the airwaves, I think 4 at that. It was a boom. It was huge down there. But I saw the episodes, and I remember my godfather. He bought me one of the role play things. He gave me the power sword and the shield made by Basa, of course, and he gave my cousin the Skeletor ones. And as soon as he gave me that thing, we went out to my yard and we started playing, and boom, the sword broke immediately in the first swing. In the first swing, the damn thing broke. It was like,
wow.
Dude, I'm cursed. We tried to fix it with fire, with whatever, but no, we couldn't. I like the typical method was the candle. You just lit up a candle, you melt the plastic, and you immediately put it back. But no, there was no way. I did keep the shield though, and I kept it until the day I came to the United States in 2000. And
I know what he's talking about, because people, I'm in El Paso, Texas, and Juarez, Mexico is right across from us. And, they had El Amos El Universo, and the bootleg toys. And part of it was that, you grow up, and if you're from the Latin countries, you grow up with these bubble plastic figures. And I remember, so you ended up with the larger figures.
Oh, Rotocast, yeah.
Yeah, the big Rotocast.
Jesus.
And yeah. And so I know the sword you were talking about. I had that sword.
Yellow one.
And yeah. And I didn't break it, but it just flopped on me over like a year. It just like warped, and it just happens, So even if you didn't break it, it wasn't gonna last.
It was the Basa made them out of ABS plastic, very brittle, and it had no compression. No, it wasn't built for play. I mean, a kid will swing that thing, and the way the power sword was designed, it has these little things that are going inside, and the whole blade snap off. I ended up with the little hilts only. It looked like an orphan side. Like it was missing the middle thing. Immediately, it was just Basa. I mean, they had a lot of good stuff, but they also had a lot of bad stuff. Like Legos, for example. They created their own stuff called Playgo, which is a Lego knockoff, and those were okay. Those were okay. They had also for the girls, they had the Liddy House and a lot of stuff that was sub-licensed that they had to do. But I always wanted the real stuff because I knew. And they made like the Transformers, like Glinsa made Transformers in different colors. So you had like a Bumblebee in like purple or freaking brown. It wasn't brown. It was like freaking red. Like. Yeah, no, it was a disaster. But hey, we were.
Let me tell you, if this would make you feel better. The real American stuff was not that great either. Okay, I had an '80s Optimus Prime as a kid. I would transform him. I would play with him. But something because in the Japanese they use metal, and then over here they switched like metal parts to plastic, and something like that caused the figures to break. I had my Optimus Prime fall apart on me after. I had a Soundwave that fell apart on me because he had metal joints with plastic joints, and they would wear off. And I found out later, like the Japanese ones, they had more metal parts, and that stuff lasted. But yeah, it would get rusty now, and that's always the issue with
Over
it.
there we had the original stuff, like on like they will smuggle through Chile, Arica. They will smuggle the Japanese and the American. The American was cheaper and the Japanese was more expensive because it came from Japan. So in the 80s, like anything Japanese was like, oh my God, this is super technologically advanced. But they would charge you more. I remember they were options. So you could either buy the American one or buy the Japanese. The Japanese didn't have any branding. It was off-branded because it was the Takara Diaclone, whatever thing that they had. But yeah, I remember seeing Chrome Optimus Primes and very like different types. But like it was a there was no licensing, there was no control. So in Peru you would see like rich kids having like stuff from Japan, stuff from Europe, and like you don't know what the hell was going on because there wasn't a way to wait, why are they different Optimus Primes? Isn't that the same thing? So I mean, you're a kid and there was no way to know. It's just Optimus Prime, whatever.
Just to point out, same thing. I had a Jetfire, and it fell apart on me. All my Transformers fell apart on me.
Oh, those macros things were yeah, no, the macro stuff they broke completely. Holy crap!
Yeah.
I used to have a Valkyrie. It was my favorite toy. Like you transform it, like you pull the arms out, and then boom, completely the rails broke off.
Yeah.
It was a disgrace.
I can tell you this: my He-Mans are all fine.
Yeah. Those toys were made to last. Those toys were like those yeah, the manufacturing Mattel. I mean, I always buy a lot of fodder parts on eBay, especially like the vintage stuff, because there's a lot of customers that like vintage stuff. So you have to like bulk buy them, and once they come here, like they've been sitting on attics and everything. Yeah, you just put them in for disinfection, but then once they're clean and everything, you see how the plastic and everything is still it holds up. I don't know if the stuff that we have here is gonna last like 40 years, like my Marvel Legends and stuff. I have the Toy Biz things that were released in like 2002 or 1, and they're not that great. I mean, some of the plastic is being yellowed, and I take a lot of care of this stuff. Some of the plastic on my first ever Captain America, it's completely yellowed. So I don't know. It's a I don't know if they're gonna last that long. But the old 80s stuff, yeah. Like the stuff that Dave sends me to to paint, to fix. Like I don't know where does he get them, but they're fine. It's like they came out of the assembly line like yesterday, and they're still fine.
Well, let me ask you this, because you were touching upon the 90s and all that. How did your customizing get started?
I discovered customization commercial customization in 2006, but in the 90s my skills were a bit better. But the 90s is the government changes. They adopt a policy of open market, and we started getting the good stuff. By then I was already like 12, 13. We got G.I. Joes, we got Transformers Generation 2, which wasn't that good, but you finally see what the original stuff was. We get X-Men, we get Toy, we get like everything, and it was like heaven for me. It was like finally we can get this stuff, and not for like exorbitant prices. It was nirvana. It was my money was only spent, all my allowance was spent on G.I. Joes and X-Men, the X-Men stuff, and some Batman the animated series, of course, that came crashing there in the 90s. I love that series, and I love the toys from those were by Kenner, if I recall. The first wave were made by Kenner, and they were still expensive, but not like out of mind expensive. Like I was paying how much for a Toy Biz figure? Would have been like $10. which in exchange, I'm talking about 90s. Down here it was like $2 or $5, I think. But the exchange was like 15, 20 soles, which is still kind of affordable for a kid. So yeah, I started amassing a collection in the 90s. Now,
Nice.
Commercial customization is I discovered it only in the United States, because I used to modify my X-Men, especially my X-Men, because Toy Biz never gave you like a perfect cartoon thing, except for the Wolverine, the Water Wars of Wolverine, and some cycles. But like a Rogue, I never got a perfect Rogue, except like way later when they made a Street Fighter line. So I had to customize my Rogue. I wanted a freaking Rogue like the cartoon, so I made her the little, the vest. That I painted her with the nail. Yeah, I was still stealing my mother's nail polish, and but painting a decent Rogue, and sculpting, carving. Mostly, I wasn't doing much sculpting because there wasn't materials to sculpt, but I was doing carvings. I was carving the thing and patching it up with a glue that we had over there that was called, we had two glues, Terocal and Uhu. And I had to, like, when you let that thing dry, and can sand it. And that's how I started, not like a deal of customization, but it was mostly repaints what I did. And I used to watch, check the Toy Fair magazines that we started coming in. Of course, you couldn't buy them because they were expensive as hell. Like one issue was like $15, but you would just and most people couldn't read them because they're English, proficient in English. Because of my own fan, I mean, if you like toys, if you like this stuff, you have to like learn English, so you can understand it better. And I was somewhat proficient, and I would read like they had this customizing section. I was like, wow, these people have all these materials to do all this great stuff. I have my nail polish. That's all I have. But I'll do it, whatever. I made a Terry McGinnis out of a Gambit. I made like a Peter Parker swapping heads with different types of things. And what else? I made a movie Wolverine out of a Rage Wolverine I made a lot of stuff there. But then I moved to the United States. Of course, it's a different thing. I started looking for a job, and kind of like the toys, they still there, but they take a second thing. It was in 2006 when I moved to Tampa that I had no job. I was selling everything I could on eBay, and I was researching, and I was like, oh man, nothing sells. And then I find that somebody has done a Supergirl custom from Justice League, the Justice League Unlimited, and they just painted the thing with they painted the blue and white one in her regular red and blue. It's just a simple, and I was like, wow. And that thing sold for triple the price, and I was like, wait, people buy this stuff? Like, but he did it. I had my Peruvian switch still on, because in Peru it's a different ball of game. I mean, like, if you make something, it's worth less than the original because you made it. It's not official, so it shouldn't be worth that much, And I still have that chip in my mind. That programming was in my mind. I was like, hey, I made it. The guy made it himself. Why is this guy paying that much for that handmade toy? It's ridiculous.
Nice.
Nobody, what? No. And then I started, what's the word custom? Custom is like something you personalize, but in toys. And then I was like, I started researching, and this is insane. Why people are paying triple the amount of this? And I was like, I can do better than that. I think I can. Because like the early custom eBay market, I mean, we had only a few really, really good people like the masters were were working on Marvel Legends. Like the low entry people was working in Justice League, and let's face it, most of us weren't that good. And I immediately started, and I started researching. I didn't sleep that night because I was researching the custom culture in the United States, and I came across a lot of great artists. And I sent emails asking, what do you use to sculpt? The same questions they do to me, I started doing to them. None of them answered except for a couple. And those are still my friends nowadays. And, like they were like, who are you? And yeah, what, okay, you use this, you use that, and this is this and that. That's it. And I was like, okay, thank you. And then I went to Lowe's. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about, but I was like, okay, let's do this. I mean, I went to Lowe's. I started researching. My first customs I couldn't invest because I was broke. I couldn't invest in acrylics. So I was, into the car culture. I used to customize real cars, and I had a lot of car paint.
Right.
And he said, okay, you know what? I don't have money to buy this acrylic stuff, so I'll just use whatever I have. And yeah, my first customs were made with car paint. It's a great paint. I mean, it chews on the plastic real good. I mean, I didn't know anything about knocking down joints or anything, but it chews on the paint real good. The problem is that it's super highly freaking toxic. It's even more toxic than the freaking enamel paint, and I was breathing the fumes of that. And my first batch came fantastic. And I sold a Supergirl. I did the Supergirl, and I
this
did
was
a
in
Stargirl.
Justice League Unlimited, right?
Yeah. And then
because I remember that everybody, in the community.
Oh my God!
Everybody,
it was huge.
Yeah, they at the time when Justice League Unlimited was out, and those figures were great, but man, we couldn't get enough. We just saw so many potential.
It was crazy. It was so crazy that Warner came in and kicked us all out because like, you guys had destroyed the property, and they took down our auctions. It was crazy. I mean, every day you will see like 120, 200 auctions of custom Justice League, and I back in the day I was just one of them making them. I don't had a branding or Hunter Knight Customs didn't exist or anything. It was just me. But my first batch, I mean, I made 200 and something out of just barely an investment of how much was it, like $25 and car paint, and I ended up completely like nauseous and I because it was using car paint. I was like, okay, I need to invest money. Some of the money that I did, I'm going to invest it in buying this freaking paints. And I went to card. I mean, it was Tampa, so it was everything. It was so far away. And we went back immediately to South Florida because it was just not a good place to be in those days. So down here in South Florida, we have there was train shops and hobby cars, and that's where you buy the test or acrylics. Then I started doing research on materials and everything, and people always recommended Abe's epoxy, and that's what became my standard sculpting medium. Forget about the breadcrumb stuff, no more. And I started, honing my skills on Justice League. Like the top dogs were Marvel Legends stuff, like Hobby Master 2K, which we now know as I guess it's this guy from Philippines. It's a very good Phoenix Force Creations, but he was back then Hobby Master 2K, and his stuff I still have it. I printed those because one day I want to be doing something like that because it's a beautiful figure. In those days, a Marvel Legends was the price of Marvel Legends like $7. A $7 figure.
Oh, well, back then,
yeah.
You're old enough like us to remember when like a 6-inch figure was like $8, and I remember like the first DC classics were like $8.
Yeah, and that was premium. Yeah, no, like and the SH, well, it wasn't SH Figures in then, but it was like Final Fantasy Play Arts or something like that. No, the Play Art stuff. The Play Art stuff was $12, and that was like, wow, this is premium stuff, like super expensive. But yeah, you still like, because like figures were much cheaper, and Toy Biz revolutionized the thing. But to me, it was like rocket science trying to customize a Marvel Legends. I did dabble in customization of Marvel Legends, but in those days my skills were not up to tackle that much articulation. I was making like 200, 300 a week doing Justice League with 5 points of articulation, and I was fine with that until Warner came and crashed the market completely, and they issued takedowns and like they really were like, dude, stop messing with our stuff because this is like you guys are destroying our IP. And many people who relied on that money went down. But it was like 2008 when I get a girl messages me on the eBay thing, and she's like, oh my god, I like your Justice League stuff, but you should make Masters of the Universe. I was like, Masters of the Universe? I was aware of the 2002 series. I collected the whole thing. I collected the figures, I collected the extractions and everything of the 2000X because I really love how how they transformed the whole concept of the like little chunky toys into something really streamlined and really badass. And I was like, I love that. I collected everything, but I didn't think nobody would be interested in customs. And she gives me a list of ideas, and you should make Seahawk. What the hell is a Seahawk? And you should make Bo, the guy with the heart. Oh my God, really? Wait, oh, that's right. They never made him in toy form. I was like, I had a spare Jungle Attack He-Man that I bought because I used to buy stuff in bulk, and I was like, Jungle Attack He-Man. Okay, this guy has a bow already, like looks really badass. So yeah, that's the bow. And how do we use the concept that these guys did? Because back in the day, I didn't know it was a Four Horsemen. It was like the sculptors of the toy, the Masters of the Universe line. They took this concept and they made it look badass. They took the simplified concepts of the vintage line and they made it look incredible. How would they have tackled Bo? I broke my mind trying to look. I look at pictures. I went on forums and stuff like that. He's a guy who has a heart on his chest, like that. How? And I was like, oh, I'll do it. Whatever. And I just imagine how it would have been done. I put it there and it sold for $80. And I was like, what the hell? Because you have to remember, like an average Justice League figure will go for like $20, $30, $50 maybe if you were very good. I wasn't that good. And Bo comes and sells for $80. And I was like, whoa, wait a second, what's going on here? And then this girl is, I love the Bo, blah blah blah, and you should make Seahawk. And I was like, what's a Seahawk? And no, it's this pirate guy who was like, you know what? I haven't seen that cartoon in more than 30 years. I went to Best Buy and they had the entire She-Ra series for $6, like the with the spine artwork. And I was like, oh, $6 for the whole thing? Okay, that's good. I'll buy it. I bought it all, and I started watching it. After so many frigging years of watching, watching She-Ra, and because I don't like to make something that I'm not familiar with based on the description of somebody else, because it's a very personal, thing. And some people might look at a character in a way, and this girl was like, "Oh, Seahawk is the coolest guy. He's like a parrot, and he's like he kisses a door, and he's like a hunk. He's like this guy is okay. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe that's your thing. But let's see." And yeah, no, she was right. The guy was like, I mean, that will not be PG nowadays, but I like Seahawk. He was like a badass. I was like, okay.
Now, just to point out, hold on, was this you, Kelly?
No, it wasn't my friend Rebecca. I'm still friends with her nowadays, although she's moved on now. She has kids and everything. But back in those days, she was into Masters of the Universe and Final Fantasy. And
I have third version of Seahawk.
Yeah, and then I made a Seahawk in 2000 X style. Like I try to my head wrap around the design of how would a 2000 X Seahawk would look like. And that's just like, okay. I watched the entire series, You couldn't watch it in one run. I had to like watch it in several weeks because like the material was a bit, outdated, and I was used to like the modern cartoons like Justice League and all that, like fast pacing, story, connections, and these episodes, though they belong to a universe, they're not really connected to each other, more separate. So it's kind of hard to keep track of a story when it's not. When it's self-isolated episodes, it's like as an episode is its own world. So I had to take notes. I had to like start checking characters, names. Like I did a small master list of things that I could do because I wanted to do a lot of stuff. Problem was that my abilities, I had to recognize that my abilities were not up to par to do that kind of thing. So I had to like do with what I had. And I launched I did the Seahawk, and it went for what was it? $85 more. It wasn't that good, to be honest. I didn't like that. I look at that concept now, and I'm like, yeah, that's not how it should be done. But it still sold, And then I was like, okay. I started researching the line, and I was like, well, it was a doll line. It was an action figures. It was incredible. Why did they never made? They made it dolls, and then I researched. They never did on the 2000X line. They never made Angela. They never got to the She-Ra stuff. So the only thing we got was the San Diego Comic Con She-Ra that I had, and that was it. I wasn't really too deep into the lore, but as the Justice League business was waning down, I was dabbing into a bit Marvel Legends, but I wasn't that good. So and there was a lot of people doing Marvel Legends. Yeah, till this day. I mean, competing in Marvel Legends, it's just you just do it for fun because you're not gonna make much money because there's a lot of competition. So you have to like check your competition volume. And Masters back in those days, there were like zero people customizing Masters of the Universe. I mean, you see the sporadic one or two pieces, but not in a constant thing like Justice League or Marvel Legends. So it was a prime real estate to try and dab in. So I switched all my attention to Masters, and that's when I started researching more in depth, because to me I only to the 2000X stuff, like, okay, this is what I like, this is where I stay, but then I had to like research more and do other things, and then started doing I did Angela, I did Glimmer. Those were using DC Direct figures that I had.
You really found your niche.
Found a niche. That's the thing. I had to niche down to Masters, because back in those days I didn't have a name, I didn't have a customer list, I didn't have a website or anything. It was just me doing stuff.
You had to build yourself up.
Yeah, and then the movie happens, the movie Sex Drive happens, and I have to make that car for that movie. And they told me, well, what's the name of your company? I'm like, I don't know. I just do stuff. And the producer of the movie told me, well, you better get a name, because it's if you have a company, it's good if you put the logo of your company in the car, because that is going to be in the movie and it's going to be seen by millions. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. and in one night I had to think about it, because I had different names. Murder Graphics for the cars, there was Murder Graphics, there was a Hunter's Playroom for all the things. I was like, it was all over the place. So in one night I had to sit down, remember my classes of design that I took in Peru back in when we used to design with pen and paper, and come up with a freaking logo and a name. And that's when Hunter Knight Customs was born. I was like, yeah, this is going to be like the division for cars, because I wanted to customize cars. I was really heavy into customization of cars, the street tuner culture and all of those days, the Fast and Furious and blah, blah, blah. And I designed Hunter Knight Customs as a logo for the cars. It was going to be Hunter Knight Toys for the toy part. But then the crisis hits in 2008. The car business goes to hell. And all my providers, like the people that supply with parts and everything, they went out of business. They they were broke as hell. Nobody was investing in tuning cars. Like the culture, the mindset changed. And the new kids were not investing $1,000 on body kits and graphics on their cars. They just wanted to keep their real clunkers rolling to go to college or to work. So that business was obliterated in 2008, and I was like eating my nails because I had invested a lot in that. I was like, okay, what do I do? And I was like, hey, customs can be anything. So you know what? I have the logo, I have the movie. The movie wasn't a success, because it opened in October of 2008, and that's when the crisis was fully declared. So people, and that movie was like, it's a comedy, but it wouldn't. Nowadays, you wouldn't be able to. It's not made for like the culture we live in now. But still, it was out, and you can see the logo, my logo in the car and everything. So like, oh, you know what? Let's just use Hunter Knight Customs for the whole damn thing. And you know what? Toys require much less investment, so I'll start 24/7. I left my job, because I was supposedly going to go on full customization of cars. So yeah, I had no job. And I played it too hard in those days. And I immediately switched to make toys 24/7. It's like, you know what, this is going to be my job. And I had the support of my family, of course.
Yeah.
They loaned me them. I took a small loan of $1 million. And no, and
it felt like $1 million.
Yeah, no, it was 250 plus 200 more for I rented my first office in Sunrise, because I wanted to like do an office and everything. And they loaned me the money. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she always.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I know, she always trusted me. So if you need $400, I'll give you $400. And she gave me her $400. God damn it. And I used to rent my first office and everything, and buy materials, toys, and some clothing, because I was like really eating my like we say in in South Florida, we say a word I cannot say. I was eating crap. But and then I started doing customs. I started doing Masters of the Universe was the main thing. Then it was G.I. Joe, because we had the 25th anniversary line was going strong in those days. Marvel Legends, Marvel Legends was something that I wanted to crack, because to me they were so complicated, but I still wanted to make them. It was a challenge to me. I decided one day I'm gonna get good at this crap, but I have to keep pushing it. Yeah, but I was happy when my Marvel Legends sold for like $30, $25, $40. I was happy, because I was happy that somebody wanted to pay me, for that figure. I was grateful to like have people pay me that money to in auctions to do that. And I kept away from the DC stuff because Warner was still like kind of like, don't touch our property, so they didn't really. Yeah, no, Warner was very That's why in my Mortal Kombat videos you see me killing mostly DC characters. It's not because I hate DC characters, I love DC, but like I had this little grudge that I didn't know how to express, and the most healthy way was I also started doing Mortal Kombat customs, which were the second best sellers that I had, especially those videos. Like people love those freaking decapitation videos that I did. Those were like watched a lot on YouTube. And then I once I had the name, I had to come with a strategy to market them, because I had no money for a marketing campaign. But I read a book which was about online marketing, viral marketing, social media marketing. And social media was a concept back in the days that was like in its infancy. We're talking about like I started doing a Hunter Echoes page in MySpace. That was the first page that I did. So I created. It's like, okay, you know what? We're gonna do what is free. Twitter. This thing called Twitter is free. This thing called YouTube is free. MySpace is free, and this crap Facebook. Oh, I don't understand that. It's never gonna work. It's never. But I'm gonna still advertise there. And every single thing that I did, I made a video of it. I uploaded it on YouTube. Like my first video is a Moss Man. It's the first custom video.
I remember that's where the name Hunter Knight started to really spread.
Exactly.
You really did some good videos. I remember back in the day.
I did research on that, and there was no custom action figures on YouTube in 2008 or 9. No, absolute, not a single video, a custom action figure video. There was a barricade tutorial light that someone did on a transformer. Barricade, they put lights, but there was no showcase of custom action figure. Nothing. I was like, wow, nobody has done this. Okay, so I uploaded the first custom action figure video on YouTube, which was this Mossman, which is still rolling until this day. It's a custom Mossman. It's in 2009, I think it was uploaded. And the video is unwatchable now. It wasn't like HD or anything. It was shot in a very rustic camera that I had in those days. The music was Korn, Freak on a Leash, which obviously nowadays you cannot. I mean, I had to switch the music because it's copyrighted, but YouTube in those days was very lax on copyright, so I could upload. I mean, every time I did an X-Men, I put the X-Men music. You cannot do that now because the music is copyrighted. But and that's how it started.
Well, everything was brand new.
Yeah,
and that's what I want listeners to understand. You were starting, and you kind of created the field. You kind of came in before Pixel Dan and all those other guys.
Actually, no. Pixel was doing. He was
doing video games back then. Remember?
Yeah. Pixels and Plastic. I saw his video. I saw a couple of videos of him, and I was like, wow, this guy's doing video game stuff. That's cool. What happened is that the Marvel Legends community started going in heavy. They saw that, and they started immediately catching up. And then I remember the Marvel Legends community told me, you should tell us how you make this stuff. And back in those days, I was like, no, why should I? Who the hell is gonna care about how you do this stuff? I don't even know myself how I'm doing this stuff. And how much is going to teach people? Like, no, I don't think so. That's why my videos never feature me talking, because I knew I was beginning. And what am I going to say? Let's say, look at a Jean Grey video that I did. My first Jean Grey custom. It was made out of a Phoenix. That thing sold like cocaine. It was incredible. I made like 20 of those. But you see it nowadays, it's just not good. And when I did another one like 4 years later, it was better than the first one. So what I mean, let's say I start speaking on my Jean Grey video. Hey guys, I did this Jean Grey custom, and it's the best one I ever done. This, and then I make another one. They say, no, this is the best one I've ever done. Then I don't make like the 10-1. No, this is the best one I ever done. If you watch those videos in tandem, one after the other, I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite. That's why I said, I was like, no, I can't talk. I'm gonna let the video do the talking instead of me. And that's something that always criticize me. The late Glenn Webb, he told me, man, you should talk. Why don't you talk? You should talk in your videos, man. And your stuff looks like a robot. You should freaking talk in your videos. I was like, not really. No, I don't want to. and he started doing videos and talking. But the thing is that every time he released a new one, he deleted the old video. That's why you cannot find his tutorials in a sequential order, because he was also learning. And then I was the first one to reach 1,000 subscribers back in the day. I didn't give a crap subscribers in those days. No, I'm a subscriber. I don't care. As long as the right people see my video and then commission me to make the figure, that's when I make the money. And there was no monetization back in those days. No, nothing. You just made the videos because you liked them. Then the Marvel Legends community was like, you know what? Let's do this. I'll buy a figure from Walmart and I'll review it. And I was like, why people are buying stuff from Walmart and doing reviews online? It's like, who's gonna care about a figure that you can buy? I was dead wrong on that one, by the way. And that's when you see the first reviews of Marvel Legends coming out. You see, I was like, nobody's gonna care about that. And yeah, I was wrong by a lot of money on that one. But you have to keep on, going for what you feel like. I was like, yeah, I feel like my call is in doing stuff, in doing customs, not so much as promoting other things. I always thought, because I was thinking from a scarcity mindset, which is, how do you make money with that? How do you make money reviewing stuff? I don't see the potential. In those days, and nowadays you can make a lot of money. Trust me, even I now do reviews from time to time, as you can see.
Well, it's hard to say, because sometimes it's hit or miss, and then all of a sudden it turns out you have a little kid doing toy reviews and how he's a millionaire. And
right.
Exactly.
There's other people who just didn't catch on, and I thought they were funny. So it's just hard
with that. But you have to be constant. The thing is, it's like with Marvel Legends, the field is super cluttered now. Now what you have to do, if you're a reviewer, you have to niche down. Let's say you find a line that you are passionate as hell about, like Pixel Dan. He was passionate about Masters, and his channel is a freaking resource right nowadays. Every time I need to, okay, I don't collect vintage at all. I only have a He-Man and a Skeletor and a Man at Arms and a Tila from vintage. That's from the vintage, and a drugstore, which I found in a parking lot, and that's it. But every time I do research on a vintage stuff, or if I don't want to go into the, I have my Masters of the Universe figures coded in a box. It's freaking hard to go to the archive, and I just watch a video from Pixel Dan, and I know, okay, that accessory goes there. Oh, that's how they sculpted it. Okay, good. It's a resource, but you find a niche that you're passionate about, and then you make a channel around it. Once you reach scale, let's say 10,000, 20,000 subscribers, then you can branch out into other things. But you begin niching down. Like, I don't reviews, but I do them because I get paid to do them. I don't. It's a contract that I have. It's not my thing, but I do it because but my niche is always customs. My niche is always custom action figures. The niche on my channel, when I started doing reviews, they were like, people were like, I'm here for the customs, not as much as reviews, because if I want to see a review, I just go to Pixel Dash, Artemis Prime, Shanlong, or the new guys. There is a guy called Toy Galaxy, I think. The Amazing. You got the other customizer who became a 100% reviewer, and then you got Shartimus, the Transformer guys, and you have who to go for your reviews. Like if you say Masters of the Universe reviews, immediately who comes into your mind? Pixel Dan.
Yeah.
You want Transformers? I go to my favorite review is MGO. that guy he has stuff completely done. He's great.
I really wanted to say that your reviews are wonderful to see. The videos, any photos that you put up, photos or videos that you put online, because this work is so beautiful. Fantastic work, and so few of us can actually own it. We just want to any chance we get to be able to see it. And I wanted to mention that your Mossman video that you referenced, your first video was in 2009. And in 2010, the very next year, you were interviewed by MTV.
Ah, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I have to thank Jason Stevens for that. That's when really the business starts taking off. Jason Stevens, he started doing interviews to other guys in the field. He is passionate about Masters of the Universe, and then it was my turn. So yeah, like wow. I couldn't believe it, because like, yeah, man, I've been looking at your work. It was for the now extinct MTV Geek website, which doesn't exist. I mean, the interview is gone now because the website is completely gone.
So if it's any comfort, MTV is gone too. So
yeah.
Well, and you can still find the interview online.
No, it's taken down. I checked it.
That's how I found it. I just Googled it. Yeah.
It's still there. Somebody archived it. Good. Because I was
where.
Oh my God, yeah. No, I was really sad that because last time I checked that the pictures were gone and everything. But yeah,
since
MTV,
we're getting into it, I gotta ask you, because we're touching around it, but we haven't gotten into it. How did the classics fall into you?
The classics. I was always buying my Toy Fair magazine. I wasn't, I'm kind of a hermit. I don't like to join communities. I knew about He-Man.org, but I was like, oh my God, it's like they're gonna. I knew about Masters on the surface because I come from a journalism background. I studied journalism. They teach you that you have to be an ocean of knowledge, but only 2 inches deep. So my knowledge of Masters was, I didn't know the lore that was really going deep in, and that's why I didn't join any communities or anything. And all the news I got were from Toy Fair back in the day. And I bought my Toy Fair, and I was like looking at the coverage, and I said, oh, this is a prototype of He-Man, blah, blah, and they're gonna sell this thing from Masters in the website, Matty Collector. I was like, what the hell is a Matty Collector? What the hell? Oh my God. And why are they doing this? Why are they not doing the 2000X line? Why are they going back to basics with this hugely articulated stuff? But like I didn't really understand it. But then I started researching the market again, and then I started seeing auctions for classics figures, and I was like, wow, they are selling for much more than the 2000X. They are not as complex. I mean, if you look at them from a engineering point, they're not that difficult to work with. You just heat and pop, heat plastic here, remove this, remove that, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of doable. And then by those days I had Facebook. MySpace was dying, and I kept to myself mostly on Facebook. I never joined groups or anything. But then I got people contacting me. I'm like, I like that one. You should do this. You should do that. I'm like, okay, well. And then I went on Matty, and in those days they weren't the big sellouts back in the day when the really the line caught steam. You will see those 10-second sellouts. But then they had Sodak. They still had Sodak, and I was like, I have an idea to work with this guy, so let's just buy one Sodak. And it's like $20 with shipping, $25 with shipping. And then I got the first, and I bought a faker of eBay just to analyze, because I like to first have the product in hand. One thing is to look at pictures, and then another different is have the product in hand. And I bought the faker right first, and I was like looking at it, and I was like, ooh, this is not. I thought it was a DC Universe Classic scale, to be honest. I thought they were the same size because in the pictures, and then I'm like, wow, no, this is super chunky. This is super different. This is a completely different thing. And by that time, I already had worked on I already had a Prince Adam and a She-Ra in this Universe Classic style already. They just needed paint, and I wasn't going to really cancel them because I got the real thing. I just released the Prince Adam and the She-Ra. They sold pretty well in this Universe Classic scale. I was like, what? And then I got the classics, and I started working on it. And with that, what was I think it was a Batros that I did or something like that.
So you turned a Zodak into a Batro?
Yeah, it was the hairy Zodak, if I recall. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember because I know that like your Shiras I was always a fan of.
Oh yeah, no, Shira is the thing. Shira is the stuff that I do. And then I started buying more, and then I made a bow and I made a Seahawk. Those things, were immediate sellers. Like people wanted classics version. And then I started researching more, going deeper, and then I was like, oh, there's a problem that they're not gonna release those because like Seahawk belongs to freaking I don't know, Filmation, and Mattel doesn't have the rights, and it was I was like, wow, this is a mess, a licensing mess. And I was like, well, I mean, capitalism, it always finds this way. It's like sooner or later they're gonna get those rights, but in the meantime we have to make the stuff. I had to make a lot of versions of Seahawk. That day was bow, and they immediately released bow. And my first bow wasn't that successful because I changed the heart. And that's how you start knowing your audience. I got a lot of feedback, good feedback. No, you shouldn't put that. I mean, you take the heart out of bow and it's not bow. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I liked. I mean, the Four Horsemen gave you an option, remember?
Yeah. No, they were like, yeah. And back then, like, the community was much more gentler than it is now. Like, now it's a piece of crap. Now, you kill yourself. Shoot yourself. You piece of, like, back in those days, we were nice. And the few not so nice people were ejected immediately. They were like, I took a no BS approach. If you criticize me, if your input is constructive, you can tell it in the tone of but if you like give me a criticism and it's not constructive, it's a piece of, and you go, well, tell me why it's a piece of, I remember the Marvel Legends community was very, very helpful on that. I remember I did a Red Hulk and the shading, I got it wrong, completely wrong. It was bad, but I put it on auction, I put the video, and I got constructive criticism. I remember from Shardimus Prime, and other people, and they were very nice about it. No, bro, you put like the shades are wrong. No, it doesn't look really good. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. It doesn't look good. I took the video down, I took the auction down, and I redid the damn thing. And when I put it back, I thanked people for the input, the constructive criticism. And they were like, oh, man, it's the first time I see someone text criticism. It's like, yeah, if it's done right, of course, you have to listen to criticism. Sometimes bad criticism, you have to listen to it, but like don't internalize it because that will destroy if you have a low self-esteem, it's going to destroy you. If you have a low creative artist self-esteem, you're not going to touch a custom anymore. In my case, I didn't have any choice because it's my work, and I had to like learn to internalize the criticism as not personal. It's more like a choice of things, You have to take it and okay, why is this people saying that? Why is this person saying that? Maybe they're right. And then you go back and you check your work, and they're like, yeah, they're kind of right. Don't take it like leave the ego is something that as artists we innately have. I try to kill mine with Lysol and Clorox. I don't drink it, by the way.
Yeah.
The first thing I saw when I entered this thing is the huge egos that people have, and I being myself, I've sinned a couple of times, but people have always, virtually slapping the face and put me back in my lane and kept me humble, and that's something I will always be thankful for.
I want to say that Chris is fantastic to work with. When you commission him for some custom figure, I mean, he's very professional, and he keeps it, like you said, I see that, you have that professionalism, you don't have this huge ego, and you'll tell me like, oh man, who wants a vintage toy accurate classics merman figure, but
yeah, I was like, why do you want this? Explain me the logic so I can understand the project. But then I thought the classics one is perfect, but then no, you start pointing. You give me a graphic, and it's like, no, you see, this is wrong. This is wrong. I was like, oh crap, yeah, he's right. That shouldn't be that way. But they were coming from the 2000X line when they designed that, and they had like little creative freedoms that they tried to put in there because Scott was very, he was very like, they told him exactly what he wanted, and Like the creative freedom they have was kind of restrained, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, with the merman figure, they used the cardback art from the vintage toy rather than designing them after the actual toy that we enjoyed as children. But I wanted to say that with Chris, he's very good at taking all of your input and giving you exactly, imagining and giving you exactly what you envisioned in your mind as this perfect custom figure.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the first thing is that you're not creating for yourself. You're creating a figure for somebody else, and then you have to put yourself there, like check your ego at the door and think what that person wants out of this figure.
Mm-hmm.
What they want is not you. I mean, if you want to make your figures for you, fantastic. Set some time off and do whatever the hell. That's what I do. I do sometimes, like I take time for myself, so I don't burn myself creatively, and I just sculpt like Templars or freaking things that don't make any sense. But it's just to liberate your mind. Or I get an Avenger toy and I figure and I started like painting the face. I still have a Doctor Strange that I haven't finished there, but like or create something that doesn't make any sense, just to liberate yourself. But then when you work for somebody else, you have to remember it's for somebody else, and that person is paying you to create for them. So you have to, even if you do not agree with some of the choices, you have to do what the customer wants. It's basic, you have to like listen and understand why is that choice being made and just go with it.
Because you talk about painting and you talk about it, doesn't it hurt a little, especially now, like getting a classics figure that now runs in the hundreds, and you're going to cut him up and you're going to work with it. Is there always a little bit of a judgment call?
At the beginning, I had that fear that like, oh my god, this is a freaking, if I screw it up, it's gonna be, oh my god. But then you're like a doctor, and you just like, okay, it's just a piece of plastic, okay, cut it, break it, destroy it, change it into something. Oh, it breaks, oh, I'll fix it. And then you just like, it's your mindset. The only time I had like that was when I had to customize a Hot Toy, and I resculpt the muscles, and I was like, "This is a Hot Toy, bro."
Yeah, I just said, you said Hot Toy, and I'm like, oh my god, you cut up a Hot Toy.
It was an easy resculpting job, and then I was like, are you sure? You want me to do this? Because it's 300. This is out of print. They're not gonna make any more of this. But the guy was so confident that I could pull it that it gave me confidence to pull the job. So I did it. It was simple. It was just a muscle resculpture, but still, you can screw it up. But that's the only time I had like reservations about it. But then I was like, man, whatever. Then I bought a blank from Hot Toys and I started sculpting on the blank, doing silly things just to get acquainted with the material, because it's a whole different body construction. They use a lot of this flexible PVC plastic, which is bad for, nothing's going to stick to it. If you put sculpt, it's going to break. Your articulator is going to blow off. So you have to like create the pieces and fit them on the thing separately. You cannot sculpt on top like you do with a Masters of the Universe Classics or any other figure, which is mostly ABS. Those bodies they require a different skill set. But then I just checked the profitability of it, and for how much customs were selling, the margin wasn't that good. So I really didn't go into customizing Hot Toys. So yeah, no, the margin.
Who does?
There are people who
know, but I'm like, you're right. They're like $300 something, and then they're gone. They won't come back. Mm-hmm. I'm just stunned. That somebody would. Especially now, you talk about your, during the day when, in the heyday of the classics, I would see your classics and I'm like, oh, great, they're wonderful. I always wanted a Lieutenant Andra.
Oh, the Lieutenant Andra. Yeah. I haven't made any of that one. That's a one-time off. There's only one Andra in the world. I never did another one. I had a customer inquiry about an Andra, but we haven't closed the deal yet. But like, that Andra. And
I'm always like, yeah, that's cool. But then I'm like, oh, do I want to sacrifice? Even like a Battleground Tila, which are pretty common. I think those are one of the most common ones.
Yeah.
But now, there's certain ones like, oh, can you redo this Fisto for me? I'm like, what? You don't consider how expensive that is.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, no,
You know?
I have people that like, hey, can you do this? It's like, not really, because that custom used whatever X figure part, and that figure is expensive nowadays. I was like, I don't care, I'll buy it.
Right.
I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Like the mini comic Roboto,
Mini comic Roboto. Oh,
the orange
yeah.
one.
Oh, the why is that? Oh, yeah, I made that one. I made an
That
orange
was like
one.
one of my favorite pieces from you.
Yeah, I made that one.
See, this
Sure.
guy does so many. He does so many awesome customs. He don't remember his
Bro,
greatness.
you have no idea the backlog of videos that I had to publish on Masters of the Universe alone. I made a Mr. Sven that I want to publish. I did it like 4 years ago. Mr. Sven, like Seahawks pirate companion. This is my favorite. I made him. I made that little just a little thing that. I made so many other. I made Hannibal. I made like a frigging Coldar. I made frigging. Oh man, I made a ton of them. Characters, filmation stuff. I made vintage stuff. Lots of it. I've done Con Marso vintage filmation style. I haven't even published. There's so many
Well,
that I still have to go to the videos and publish them.
I wanted to ask you. When you were just starting out, how many projects were you working on, and now how many? What is that backlog of projects? And how many projects do you have lined up at any given time?
At any given time at the studio, when before the Corona crisis, we were working on around 50 to 60 pieces. Right
Amazing.
now, it's yeah, but I had help. I had people that they came in, helped me out. Now we cannot because social distancing. So
Right.
no, they cannot come, and I don't want them to take the work home because I don't know if they can contaminate the thing. It's very, they can contaminate it, and Corona stays on plastic, so it's very, so I had to compartmentalize the whole work, and now we have around. I'm working right now on 30 pieces, which is not that bad, to be honest. I thought I was gonna be like completely zero in work, and that's why I wanted to start working on eBay stuff again. But last week, I don't know what happened. I had an influx of a lot of people asking for customs. Like, I don't know, maybe somebody mentioned me or something, but every day I had like 5 customer inquiries about figures that I had done in like centuries ago, and I didn't remember them. And I was like, wow, you watching that video? Why are you watching that video? And and like 4 commissions came through last week, and I was like, what the hell's going on? So I'm pretty much set for the whole coming month. But I don't know, then I'll just start retaking the projects, which is I have stuff even from 2013 that I haven't, like I revised Illumina, for example. I did an Illumina, and yeah, it was fine, but I think I could do better nowadays. And I started revising that sculpture in 2013, 2014, I think it was.
Well,
and I never completed.
Yeah. We're talking about various, projects that you're fond of. What have been some of your absolute favorite masters custom projects, and which one are you the most proud of?
Okay, the snake armors. I love the snake armor She-Ra. The new 52.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing figure.
Oh my god, I love that snake armor She-Ra. She-Ra, she took a life of her own when I started doing those promotional videos and stories and toy stories that I used to do in my channel. Kelly used to look at those and she like, oh, I like the character that She-Ra has. She-Ra has this spunky, and then I really like how the whole ensemble got in, and then also I like the people hated it though, but I like the new 52 He-Man, the one that looked like Iron Man.
Oh sure, yeah.
I really, I don't know how I did that. That's when I started seeing that my abilities were beginning to progress a bit better, because that required a lot of sculpture, and yeah, people hated that armor. But the design, mixing the modern with the barbarian, it really, I don't know, it hit me somewhere. I was like, I really like this armor. I really need to make it. I don't care if I don't sell it. I just gotta make it.
Nice.
And lo and behold, I sold like 15 units of that one. And it's an expensive piece, because I made molds, thank God, because I don't have to sculpt the whole thing over again. I'll die if I had to do that. I make a master, and then I copy the parts, and then whenever somebody commissions it, then I copy the parts, feed them, and then boom, make the figure for X amount of time.
And that's very creative. I really like how you can make these extra parts so you don't have to go looking for them, especially some of these older parts like Renee mentioned.
Yeah, no, you have to think commercially. In that case, there's two parts. When you're kit bashing, it's like the arm of this, the leg of that, the head of this. That doesn't work in commercial customizing, because otherwise you're creating a $500 figure, and that's not commercially feasible. So you need to shorten the sourcing of parts. You need to use one buck, and then whatever parts, copy the parts, copy the head, copy whatever, and make it so you have to spend only one action figure to create, not like 20 to create one, because it's not going to work. So I had to develop a system to copy parts, and also to save time, because like when you're working that many figures as I'm working, it's imagine like in your case you have commissioned a Koyor figure.
Yeah.
The Masters of the Internet. I'm redesigning I could have just copied the old sculpture, but that sculpture was made in when the Create a Character contest was made, with 2015, 16, I don't know, 2014, 13. That sculpture, my abilities were not, were what they were, and now I have the masters of those sculpts, and I was like, I can do much better now. So I'm doing the exact same sculpture, but with my new abilities, and you're gonna see the result. That it's much better. Now I'm gonna copy those. I'm going to make molds of those things so I don't have to sculpt them again, but then I can have the luxury of doing a very detailed sculpt, and then once only, and then not doing it again. So just copy it.
And other people can own their own Koijor figure, the Peruvian mystic warrior.
Yeah, Peruvian mystic warrior. That was a create a character thing.
Well, I was going to say, do you often like to create your own characters?
I suck at creating characters. I'm going to be very honest with you. I suck. I don't have that creative vein of like, oh, you give me this and I create some, like you've seen other customizers, they create plants, Masters of the Universe, like a freaking plant, a scorpion. I suck. That's why you see very little original characters. But what I think I excel at is when you give me something on paper and you're like, I created this, how do I make it in Atto? My mind starts firing in all cylinders and like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do creating. I gotta be honest, I'm not so good at. Not so good. I need to see something that inspires me to create. I cannot like create like tell me create a character contest. To me, it was like whoa. I had to like study and do research. When somebody who was creative like that, boom, create something immediately. Like boom. I saw so many good designs that I have. Because people, like nowadays they come to me and they say, hey, you know what, I created this character for the creator, but I want to make it. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool.
I was always impressed by some of the not winners.
Yeah.
That we saw. I tried to do that contest when the contest came on, and I just sat on a pen and paper, and for like an hour I was trying to, and then I was like, I got nothing. And then I saw like hardball with a head and a chain, and incredible. Raja, I would love to see Raja.
Pablo, Raja,
yeah.
Gangstor.
And then some of the other ones they talked to me about, like there was I'm trying to remember one, like an Egyptian ghost.
Yeah.
And then somebody made a turtle called Hardshell or something like that. Like a cyborg.
The Crimson Countess from Danielle. I'm working on that one for her. And so many. I mean, I came up with a Inca-ish character. And then I was like, I'm ready to submit my thing. And let's read the rules again, just in case, because I'm very like legal on that thing. I like to read whatever people read. And then I was like, I'm giving away creative control of this thing. And I was like, you know what? I spent 2 hours designing this on paper. I think it belongs to me, not to you. If I give this, you can use it for anything you want. Let's say you make a cartoon 2 years from now that doesn't have anything to do with Masters, and you put my character there, I'm signing away all my rights. And
I can appreciate that.
I became so jealous of that. I was like, you know what? F you, because this is my country's legacy. And I was like, no,
I,
I kept it for me. I kept it. Never submitted anything to the Create a Character.
we're hitting on top of the hour, and so I want to end with looking at what's ahead. I know, we still see, and you talked about what's coming for you, but have you looked at the new stuff that's coming? Have you looked at the new figures? Have you looked at the WWE ones?
Oh yeah, I've seen, especially because of Dave. Dave has seen me. I mean, I have two opinions on as a collector and as a customizer. So as a like I have always that's the thing with me, because I'm both. I collect stuff and I'm a customizer. Customizer is the like the business part of this, and the collector is the thing that I collect for myself. And as a collector, I have no interest on Origins. I like the how they mashed up the concepts on the WWE stuff. Like really, I like that. Like the concepts they come up with. I mean, I think I have the perfect collection with Masters of the Universe Classics. I don't really need the Origins thing because I don't have too much connection with the vintage stuff. As a businessman, as a business person, as a customizer, yes, I am going hard on those things because it's the new thing. And the current state of affairs with Mattel and everything that's going on in the world, I don't think they're gonna go too deep on that collection. And I'm open. I mean, I can customize mostly anything that people want nowadays. I don't have the only thing I'm a bit that I don't like to customize is SH figure arts or any of the import stuff, because that's very laborious, intense. It's very labor intense, and I'm trying to stay away from that. But I have done some SH figure arts customs, but I can customize mostly anything. So yeah, as a businessman, yeah, I will go. You're gonna see Motu Origins figures. But as a collector now, I'll pass. Maybe I'll get one or two. I won't go hard on the like I've done with classics. And classics, I own 98% or 99% of every single figure that was released because I.
Well, let me warn you, because I was in that same boat. I was like, nah, I have my classics. I don't want Origins. And then a friend of mine offered me the San Diego.
Oh, one. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, the He-Man and Prince Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, well, I'll get it, since I'm a collector. And he said, you're going to get it. So, yeah, I'll go in on it. And he sent it to me. It's a solid toy. It's like
in
having
the physical
the
sense or the...
Well, it's solid because it's sturdy. It's well done.
Oh, okay.
You can take it apart, and that's what I was thinking, too. I was thinking, and I thought of you. I thought, oh, well, Hunter Knight's going to have an easy time doing this.
Oh, yes, you bet.
And
modular. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but they're fun. They're really posable. And, just to speak a little bit, there is something to be said about them being less complex. There's something to be said, that less is more.
The simplicity is beautiful. Yeah, that's when a product is good. That's when it's simple. That's
when I saw it.
It's less complicated than the one came before, but it still manages to grab you. That's why this is the mystic thing that people don't understand about Funkos. Funkos are simplified versions of whatever they represent, but people like them. People love them, and they cut. I mean, 40% of the income of Hunter Knight Customs comes from Funko Pops, custom Funko Pops. They're simple. I'm not a collector of Funko Pops. I barely collect sporadically some things pieces that I know that are gonna gain value within time, and I kept very few for myself. But the simplicity is that grabs you, and this Origins line is what I see. I understand what people like about it. It's simple. It's less complicated than what came before. Than less articulation. But that's what grabs you from that line, and that's what's grabbing a lot of fans, and that's why I'm saying commercially I will go deep on that one. As a collector, I'm more exquisite when it comes to like what I collect, and I'm warning you. Once you get your hands on one, well, you know what? That's what I thought about classics. It was like, this is expensive. I'm not going to collect it because these figures are expensive as hell, and I don't like the design. And now you see me, and I have every classics figure except I'm missing the PowerCon exclusives from last year. It was the white ninja and Kitrina. I'm missing Kitrina, that one, and that's it. And the Mossman with the flock ears or whatever. I have one Mossman, but There was a variant that had no flock ears. That's the only one I'm missing.
The flock ears one was the rare one, which
I remember the fight that was to get those on Matty Collector.
Oh.
It was but that was also like, it was so cool, because then you were like, oh my god, I got 7 Mossman, and then people were throwing crap at you. Oh, you piece of crap! Why did you get 1? You flaunted that you got 7. You piece of. I will be happy with 1. I only wanted 1 for my family. I was like, wow. Then I stopped flaunting how many I bought because it wasn't helping the discussion. I was like, did you get yours? Yeah, I got mine. I got 7. I got like battleground because I wanted to, that was a fodder for me. When they announced 1, I was immediately working on what I could do with that figure. And then I had a plan. Okay, we're gonna do 1 for this figure, 1 for this other figure, this another one, and this one to save just in case. And
remember, your figures have to walk single file to hide their numbers.
Yeah. I bought like 5 Tilas in those days. I bought like when they reissue He-Man, I bought 7 He-Man, Battleground Tila, and Battleground Tila went completely deep. I bought an entire case of Battle, because I knew that was the best base that you could get.
And that's where people kind of get upset at me, because I've told people, or people have asked me, well, how many He-Mans do you have? And I'm like, at a He-Man, I have like 12.
That question can be answered in a lot of ways. You have to be more specific on how many He-Mans do I have.
Yeah, no, like the original, I have like 5 of the first He-Man figures.
The vintage one.
And then not the vintage, I mean the classics.
Oh,
and
they were with a
yeah.
swap shoulder? Yeah,
no.
With the swap shoulder and the red thing, because there was a variant, like the first issue.
Well, he got the red face. The first issue has the red face.
The red face.
Shoulders were fine, but
no, bicep.
Yeah,
I think there was something with the quality of the first run, but those are worth a ton of money now.
Yeah, and then when they re-released them, and they had the first edition sticker on them.
Yeah.
I bought a couple. I'm kind of the guy where I'm like, okay, I might get a couple, and so I bought a couple. And then I went to the Mattel store in El Segundo.
Oh yeah.
And back then, I walked in, and they had the store there, and I saw them. They had like a whole shelves of of He-Man and second edition, and they were $5.
Oh my god! Oh lord, that's the jackpot! Oh lord,
that
He-Man is the design mold that is a matrix of anything you can customize, and getting He-Man, it was like He-Man was the matrix for anything. You could do anything with that base body.
Yeah,
it's the most
and that
versatile.
was always my thought, that somebody could come in and do something. And then I bought $30 worth, and then when I was buying them, I saw a couple of Skeletors. I bought a couple of Skeletors for $5. And because there was a while where they were like all over the place.
Yeah, they did a lot. Too many.
Yeah, and then you go to toy dealers, and I told people, you go to toy conventions and all that. Sometimes people don't know what they have, and I had a guy, he told me I was like looking at bins, and he told me, what am I looking for? And I'm like, oh, I'm buying He-Mans and all that. And he was like, oh, I got some. And he opened up a bin that he had, and it was all classic figures.
Ooh, yes.
Wow.
I like
about
those.
30 of them. And he was like, oh, the weapons are at the bottom. I never, they were all loose and all that. But I looked at them, and they were fine. They had no problems. And I was like, how much? And he didn't know what he had.
Oh, I love those.
And I bought them for like $30. I bought the bin for $30.
Wow, that's a
oh my god!
And then when I loaded it up, this was in Phoenix.
Christmas.
I loaded it up. I went to the hotel, and then most of them were intact. Most of them were prime, and all their weapons were there. And there was like handfuls of extra weapons.
Ooh, that's what a customizer calls the mother load.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the mother load of stuff. Yeah. I wish but those days are gone, my friend.
Yeah.
Now we have to do everything online.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, that I will bet you when Origins comes out, I'm being positive. I think the Origins will succeed. and
definitely, because you see that the amount of people
for you is going to blow up.
Maybe we'll be here like 2 years later saying, yeah, bro, I'm all in on Origins. I like my Origin stuff. Yeah. But who knows, I'm a businessman. I'm flexible with what I'm not saying I'm that wrong against for you freaking Origin. No. Keep an open mind. Let's see how the market works, and that's when I take my decision. Business wise is made, but collection wise, because it's budgets. You have to manage budgets. How much right now? I'm collecting deep into Marvel Legends. I'm going all like buying I love those MCU stuff, like the comic book stuff, and that's where my budget. And now we're going through this situation now where if I go with if I say I'm going to collect something, I'm going to go and collect this damn thing, and I'm not going to want to lose anything because I feel frustrated when I lose something. And but that's a budget, and you have to realize like the situation now. Like I now have to prioritize expenses. I don't know how my business is going to. I mean, this month is good. What if the next month doesn't pan out? And what if the auctions I do sell for less than what I have projected? Now, eBay charges you fees, you get PayPal fees, you get shipping stuff and everything. So you have to calculate what is left of that.
You said, you're a businessman, so you have to take that into account. And we always advise people, pay your bills first, and then you enjoy your
definitely. My bills are
collecting.
I have my budget for my bills like paid until like freaking December. Like my runway money for Hunter Night Customs goes for like 4 or 5 months. That's my runway money. Like the how much the business can work without having a single order. I can run it through like 5 months. More or less. That's my runway money, and with my bills paid and everything. But like I'm really like trying to not spend too much. I'm trying to diversify sources of income. That's why I'm probably gonna go once I work on all the stuff that I have. I need to go back to YouTube, promote their different stuff, and I also think that after doing this for like 12 years, I probably have now something to teach people. Back when I started, I couldn't teach anyone because I was teaching myself how to do stuff. So now after 12 years doing this professionally, commercially, I think I have some things that I can help people out with. And people right now need to clear their minds off, or maybe supplement their income, maybe doing customs. And for me, if a custom goes for like let's say a Marvel Legends goes for $30 that I put 2 days of work on it, it's not really good, but it's really like it wouldn't be a win. But for other people it probably is. And that's where I have to realize that when I started, I was happy to sell a Justice League for $10. They used to cost $2.99 back then, but and this could help other people. Like I probably, I had to rethink the strategy going forward and keep the auctions, restart the auctions, and probably start doing like small tutorials like I used to do back in the day, but my tutorials were more specific, like how to fix a broken Granamir or something. Like I need to be more like broad in this time, less technical, more broad, like how to fix this stuff, how to move this, how to do that, and probably like basic customization techniques that people can do, and probably auction them and supplement their income with something like that. Is what I probably gonna start looking into forward. I had to draw a plan, because it's not like, oh, I wake up today and I want to make a tutorial and tomorrow I don't feel like it and that's where it stays. No, you have to like do a plan.
So the tutorials would be like YouTube videos, or?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's the best way to learn. It's hands-on. And I like my production values. I've been experimenting on my Instagram account with videos, like just improvised videos, and they have a lot of traction, and those are like really specific videos. I mean, like painting a Buster sword from Final Fantasy, but like it's very specific. But even though they're specific and they're not like broad, they're having traction. So imagine just a more broad like tutorial of disassembly or paint, or what paints to use.
Yeah, I'm sure people are going to love those. Absolutely. And people have plenty of time, I'm sure, to start a hobby to catch up on their.
My tragedy is that while people have a lot of time, I don't have time because I'm still working and I'm working alone. It's my tragedy.
I so much appreciate you coming on the show, and
thank you guys.
We don't want to, we don't want to, keep you all day, but I did want to ask you, where can people go to see your work? To, what website or, and how do they contact you?
Okay, the best way to look at my work is the YouTube channel, because it's like it's a gallery of my YouTube channel is Hunter, youtube.com/HunterKnight4. You can contact me via my website, which is still it needs to be revamped, but on Facebook, my page, or Instagram, it's always Hunter Knight Customs official HKZ, and in my videos on YouTube, they all have my contact information there in the description. You can contact me by any of those. I'm always monitoring my social media, and yeah, that's probably the best way.
We look forward to seeing your work, and your work always pops up. As soon as you post something, we always see it somewhere. So yeah. I'm always looking forward to seeing what you got. All right, man. So thank you. We don't want to keep you any longer. And again, we hope our paths will cross again at a Comic-Con or PowerCon if things are a little better.
Hopefully, yeah. I hope that we're gonna get things back to normal as they were sooner rather than later. But let's be hopeful.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye. I'd like to thank Chris Diaz of Hunter Knight Customs for joining us tonight. And as always, for your up-to-the-minute news on anything Masters of the Universe related, please go and check out our friends over at heman.org. Till next time, good journey.
I'm Renee. I'd like to thank you for joining us. To catch the latest nerd news, be sure to catch Nerds on the Couch on our Facebook page. Be sure to subscribe to the Council of First Ones podcast, wherever you get podcasts. Thank you again, and good journey.
And this is David Clark, owner of adultcollector.org, where you can get the best and freshest He-Man and She-Ra news. This was another fantastic episode and a great time, a great way to spend this Sunday. Thank you so much, everybody, and good journey.
This is Rex. Thank you all for tuning in. Good journey, everyone.
This has been a Nerds on the Couch production in association with adultcollector.org. This episode of the Council of the First One was recorded on April 19th, 2020.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Council of First Ones. I'm your host, Kelly. Joining me today is my good friend, Renee. How are you doing, Renee?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm isolated. I'm good.
Aren't we all isolated? We also have Rex joining us. Hi, Rex.
Hi, Kelly. Great to be here today.
How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, Kelly?
Very good. We also have David joining us.
Hello. Yeah, great to be part of this and calling from Seattle.
And we also have Sean joining us today.
Geeking out from quarantine, yeah. This is the most lively I get all week. So.
And today we have two very special guests, the Taylors, Rebecca and Mark, joining us. Hey, Rebecca. How are you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. And how is Mark doing?
I'm doing really well. Not doing much. I've always done that well. Not doing much. I do very well.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
One thing I want to get out of this is that I am very excited to have Mark and Rebecca Taylor here, because these are the founders. I don't think for the people who are not aware, or they haven't been to PowerCon and haven't picked up the books and any of that. And I want to make clear to our listeners that Mark and Rebecca Taylor are basically the mother and father of Masters of the Universe. We'll get into how they created this phenomenon and fandom that we love so much. But our usual questions is always leading to the both of you, since you both were involved in this. And we like to find out, like, how did you get into the toy industry? So hearing it from the two sides, how did you two get started?
We would like to apologize for the audio for the next few minutes. The internet was a little spotty at this point, but it does clear up in a little while. So thank you for your patience.
I got started in the toy industry before I even knew I was started, before I ever met Rebecca. Way back when I was a youngster, I would say about somewhere around 1953, I started drawing my hero. And he had lots of names, and he took lots of forms. He was somewhere between a caveman and a knight. I drew and drew. And I'd make a few stories as I went because it was better than real life for me. And I think most storytellers, that's true with them. Now, Rebecca and I got together much later in our careers. So I'll start off a little bit by going through mine real quickly. It was thanks to my parents forbade me to draw. So I sold pencils and paper because you can't stop a kid from doing anything. And I had a very nice drawing instructor, mechanical drawing instructor, and he encouraged me a great deal. So I spent a lot of time working at carnivals, setting pins, you name it, I did it, because life at home was much better if I worked than if I didn't. I went to junior college after that, and I took drafting classes through all of this. It was the one consistent thing that I always really liked to do. So the story was already starting to evolve. I wanted a hero that would always try to do the right thing. I was a Boy Scout, and I loved it. And I couldn't understand why the world